Hey everybody, this is Jason Frank from Frank's Homesteading, and this is part 3 of building an outdoor space. Now, if you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, I highly recommend you watch them first to see how we got to this stage, and you can find those links in the description below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope that you do so to keep the content coming, and also hit that like button down there. Well, I'm not going to drag my feet anymore. Let's get right down to it, and I'll bring you up to speed of where we're at so far. So as you can see, got all my tools on a little bench here. We did put our porch swing in here that I made, just so we'd know about where it needs to be. And I got a little jump ahead on starting to build the bar area. So I'll catch you up to speed. Basically, I've got these set at a height. We've got some bar stools coming, and they're going to be 26 inches at the seat, where your bottom's going to go. And then, so I've done the math and added it up, and basically by the time this is done with the top on it, it's going to be right at 36 inches, and that should be just right. It's pretty much the standard height of a kitchen countertop. So what I'm going to do here is, got a board here. It's going to be right in the center of between these two vertical posts, and that'll also be a brace. It'll get braced back down, so it will give it structural integrity when the weight's put on it. And then I'll also put in some slats here to keep it from moving back and forth this way. And once I'm done with that, if it looks like I need more, then I'll do it. But what'll happen after that is it's going to get 3/4 inch plywood on top of it. Going to have some spaces in it here and there, and then it'll get 1 inch top with a live edge put on top of that. Then what you'll see on the outside is all along this whole side is going to get sheet metal, just like the roofing, with any rust on the inside, and it's going to cover this whole thing along here. Then that bar top is going to get a good nice thick coat of polyurethane, let it dry, and it'll get a second coat. This area here from that post over to this post is also going to get a wall, and we're going to go about halfway or so, and then it's going to angle out and then come over where this tin's at here, and then angle back towards this post. And that area there is going to be for a countertop. That way we've got the railing over there. It'll also have tin all the way around this. Now that countertop is also going to have, it's going to be the same height as the bar over here, and it's also, but it's going to be a little bit wider, a little bit deeper. So I'll have to build up the gravel out here, maybe make some more forms to make it solid, so that'll fit there. Then after that's all done and it's all sealed, then it's just a matter of the fine touches, putting all the furniture in and putting in our lighting, and put in the little fridge that's going to go out here, and see about getting the wiring ran. So right off the bat, I've already found center between the two posts, and on the back I'm going to put in a vertical post to give it rigidity. So I'm going to mark this with my pencil, and then I'm going to subtract 1.5 inches for my 2x4 because I want it to be recessed down in here. So I'll remark it with my square, and then I'll cut it off. Before I put this back in, I'm going to mark it down 1.5 inches. I'm also going to screw in the bottom. Okay, now I want to get some measurements along here. So I put in my pieces of wood that go this way. Okay, 6 5/8 all the way across the board. Well, I like to maximize my wood usage, so these are the scraps from when we did the roof, part 2. First thing I'll do is I'll square off an end, cut it off, measure out my 6 5/8, and I'll just get as many pieces out of this as I need. Now that I have the pieces cut, this one in the center is going to go like this, so that way it's flush. And then I'll put 2 more on each side, but they'll go in vertically like this to give it more rigidity. This time I'm using 3.5 inch wood drilling torque screws. They're coated so they withstand the elements a lot better, because this is where most of the elements are going to get to any moisture, so I don't want them to rust out. So 3.5 inch gives a little bit more grip, but they also have a little bit of a cut on the end which helps them drill, which will minimize any cracking in the 2x4s. So to find the angle for a brace, all you gotta do is just slide it down through to where you want it, take your pencil and mark it. And then up on top, you do the same thing. Then you've got your two angles. All right, well, I got my bracing in. I've got some of my 3/4 inch plywood, and I'm gonna cut that down to size. I've determined that my bar is going to be, from the outside edge here, it's gonna be 16 inches. So I will cut what I've got to 16 inches. I've got all my pieces cut for my bar top on the 3/4 plywood. So now I'm just gonna go along and I'm gonna screw them all in. And here's another little tip for you along the way. Because on the backside we know that we know where the 2x4 is at and how far to go in to put our screw. But the one that's in the front, we don't know. And if you don't have a chalk line, then do it this way. Put a screw in the center of the 2x4 at this end. Put your string line on it. Do the same thing down at the other end. Pull it tight. And then you'll have your straight line center on that 2x4. Now all you got to do is put the screws right next to it along the way. Well, I think the bar top's good. I got the boards cut for the bar top, but I'm not going to install that until I get the railing across here done. I'm going to be working on building this spot here is where the countertop's going to go. It's going to come out about 20 inches from the post, come over this way, come across, and then back in. And what I'm going to do is use 4x4 here, here, and there vertically, and then tie it all together with 2x4s. I'll also run a 2x4 from over here at this board level over to this post. Next I'll measure for my 4x4s. So now I'm just going to work on building a frame around there. Okay, so the area where the countertop's gonna go is now framed in. Well, everybody, we're back the next day here. Did a couple things. It got really windy. I couldn't record anymore, and then it started raining a bit. But it was warm enough I could keep working a little. So I didn't record some things I did. Let me catch you up to speed. Just reinforced the countertop area here. Put a reinforcement piece of wood there, and then I also took a piece of log that I had been sitting on for a couple years now, and I cut it into 2-inch slabs. That's what I'm going to use for my countertop, and it's going to have the live edge on it when it's done, so hopefully that'll turn out good. But I pressure washed it this morning, and I'm just letting it dry the rest of the way. So what I'm going to do today is try and get this countertop on here and get all the pieces cut that I need for the countertop and get it fitted in there and secured. And it'll have to dry for a day or two before I can coat it with anything. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish up trim work in the countertop area. So I've got this one junky kind of 2x4 here. I'm going to use it as a sacrificial 2x4. Now before I cut this, measure twice, cut once. Okay, and that's the first piece that's going in. There you go. That's the start of the countertop. Got to let it dry some more, and then I'll screw them into place. And then once it's dried, I can put a clear coat of polyurethane on it. So I know it's looking a little unfinished right now, but what I'll end up doing is trimming out the whole thing. So I got all my countertop pieces cut, and so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to glue these together. I decided that I'm not going to do that because it's going to get all kinds of extremes out here. And no matter if I was to glue it or do anything else, it's still going to crack potentially. So I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm going to drill holes, and I'm just going to screw it down. Okay, now to use some 80 grit on my belt sander, and then I'll hit it with some 120 on the disc sander. Okay, so I got the top done. I put in one piece of back trim here just to kind of get my height right, and then I marked the rest of these posts. Now I'm going to cut them off. Now I can finish putting up my trim. Okay, so I'm now going to start the top of this countertop area here. And so what I had to do to start with is cut a 45 at one end, and then I came in, and this is the reveal that I want coming down the side. It's a little deeper in the back, but that's what I wanted. So that way you can put some things back there and maybe the wind won't take them away. Okay, now that I got all my pieces cut, I just gotta secure them. The only thing left to do is I'll put a piece of trim going down the front here, and then over here I'm going to continue the live edge, just a little railing top, goes all the way over, and then this little piece right here will have some trim. First thing I got to do is I got to put in an extra 2x4 for a little extra bracing. Strong enough now. Okay, for this live edge along here, I'm not doing a live edge on both sides. That's not going to work for me because it's going to have metal on the back side. So we're just doing it on the one side, and I'll get my measurement from this right here is going to kind of set the standard because I want it to kind of match up as best as I can to this countertop. And then I'll get that width will be the width that I'll use the rest of the way down. Well, there it is. Not too shabby. I can live with that. Doesn't have to be perfect, and I don't really want it to be. Wish I had a face that matched that a little bit better, but you know what? That's okay too. I'll have to sand it down a little flusher, but first I gotta wash it again because I got it dirty. Okay, time to put it all together. I'm not gonna try and hide these screws, they're just going right in the top. Put one at each end, and then I'll work towards the middle because the middle is kind of bowed a little. Okay, well I countersunk all those screws so that way when I sand it, I won't be hitting them. So, working on the bar top now. Got my first piece of wood in, and I've got it kind of scribed around that vertical post. It's not perfect, but that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. I cut a piece for down here. It'll also go around that pole just a little bit because the metal is going to be right up to here, and that way it'll just kind of disappear into that metal. And also the other piece, when I put the piece on the back side, it'll also kind of go around it a little bit just to kind of hide it. I'll do that on both ends. Then I just got to attach it and sand it. Tack it in place so it doesn't move. I guess before I move any further, I should tackle this problem right here. Since this is going to be covered up, it really doesn't matter too much where this board goes, whether it's on the inside or whether it's on the outside. But because people will see this edge, I'm going to leave this covering this. And then I think back here I'll cut so this is against that. Alright, now I need to measure this board that I'm going to put in here. 41 1/8. Okay, you remember my fancy compass here. So what I'm going to do is use this to notch around this log right here. Alright, well this time we're going to use the jigsaw. Well, I can live with that. A little bit of a gap, but that's not too bad. So now I'll attach this, and then I'll cut my back piece. Got that last piece in. Looks pretty good. It'll look even better when it's all sanded up. First, I've got to pressure wash those two back boards because they have yet to be pressure washed and cleaned up. They're kind of messy. Then I'll tack them in place, and then probably won't be able to sand until tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, what I'm going to do is in the back, I'm going to run one more 2x4, and then what that's going to do is allow me to put my trim up against that 2x4, give it something to hold on to. I had a short cedar log, so I milled up a couple of thin pieces. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark that on the back with a pencil, and I'm going to cut it off. Then I'll come over here and I'll figure out what I need for this little piece and that little piece there. I'll cut those, mark them on the back, rip them down, and install them. Done sanding. A couple of minor details to button up. Now we can button up this trim on the bar top. And of course it started to rain. Well, other than clear coating, the bar top's done. I'm not going to show you too much of it. Have to wait till the big reveal. Well, now it's time to cut the tin for around the exterior. to do some cleanup. Put away all these tools. I think I had hurt near every tool I own out here. Wait a minute, seems like I'm forgetting something. What's that? You didn't come all this way to not see the outdoor space? Okay, here's your tour. Enjoy.